Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the Nursing Ministry channel. My name is Ludia Osita, a registered nurse, and this is the Nursing Ministry, a platform that was created to help you understand nursing as a ministry and as a profession. Once again, for the returning viewers, thank you for your loyalty. You are welcome. And for the new viewers, you are welcome. Now, I don't know if it's returning, coming back to the presentations is a bit of a challenge after a bit of a break, but it reminded me of days back in high school. I was in a boarding school, and the terms, the school stretched for 3 months at a time. We had 3 terms in a year, January to March, then we'd go for April holidays, then we'd return in May to July, then go for August holidays, and then the 3rd term was the shortest. This one was about September and October and a bit of November, because we had to leave early to allow for the national examinations to take place. So being in school for 3 whole months was not a joke. This is a boarding school that was about 10 hours drive away from home. And when you are there, those days we didn't have social media, so communication was airmail. If you needed to communicate back home, you'd have to write a letter. Then it takes about a week, approximately a week to get home before they read it and then they reply. Then sometimes the first year, second year or so, you would have a 1 visiting day, normally a Saturday. In the entire term, there was only 1 visiting day where family was allowed to visit, family and friends. And I was in a Catholic boarding school, so really, friends was not so, it was more family. The family was the one that was allowed to visit. So when they came, time was limited and then they'd have to leave. And you would see them when you closed school. Now, when we closed school and went home, we'd pack books. Where you're feeling like, okay, throughout the term, the momentum has been picked, so you're going back home. You'd want that the next time you're coming, you'd be up to date, or even ahead in studying. So we'd pack books and decide we're going home. During the holidays, we'd study and maybe go to the library and all. Funny enough, when you go with the books home, sometimes you try to study day 1 and day 2, day 3, you just decide, this is not working. So you end up not studying at all until you return back to school after a whole month. Then that is where you're trying to figure out, okay, now we have to pick that momentum again. That is what I felt like when I was coming back. I'm trying to set the camera. I'm trying to figure out where we left off the last time we were discussing, and I decided I will jump in. Just the way in school, the first week, you're still trying to figure things out, trying to remember, okay, where were we with the lessons? The teachers are coming on day 2 or day 3. For them, it's like business as usual. But for you, you're trying to still figure out, where did we leave it out? Where did the discussion end? We had so many subjects. So, okay, what's going on with physics? What's going on with mathematics? So by the time we're getting to the 2nd or 3rd week, it's when now you're reset and you start picking up the momentum again. I decided that is exactly what I'm going to do. I will flow, and let's just pick up from where we were and pick up the momentum. Such is life. Now, it's so great to be back, to be able to have these discussions again. Let's see how the Lord will help us all through the discussions. And as I checked, we were talking about basic life support. So, just as the lecturers would also do in school, they would somehow give just a slight recap to help us know where we were at and where we are at that point in time, so that we're able to flow. But before we talk about that CPR, let me also give you a prep. When I was listening to the videos to help me now reconnect to this one here, I realized, if you have not been doing this, the BLS, the CPR, I'm talking about, high quality CPR. I'm talking about preparation and preparedness. I realized I explained about the automated external defibrillator. Then I felt sorry because there's somebody out there thinking, oh, this is just too much, forget about it. But a life may be at stake and you've said forget about it. And I thought, let me just encourage someone out there. If you watch this video, that is. Now, there are scriptures that have helped me whenever I felt I faced a difficult situation, something that looked complicated or impossible. But I'm hoping to give that testimony as we go along. Maybe I'll set up a time, because if I combine it with the teachings, it may end up stretching, and I don't want to be doing long videos and then lose you along the way. Just the way you wouldn't want to sit through a long lecture or a meeting, somehow the attention span is lost. So for today's presentation episode, I'm just going to give you one of the scriptures, and then I will help you understand better as time goes by. There's the story in 2 Kings chapter 7 about the 4 lepers. These lepers were seated at the gate of a city called Samaria. Now, Samaria had been besieged by the Aramean king of Aram. They had put a siege around the city. That means no one could go out, no one could come in. It was just a gridlock right there. So they did this, and now the city, because no food supply was coming or going out and all, the city now started losing its food supply. Meaning whatever they had, the cattle, they slaughtered, they ate, the sheep, the goats, the vegetables, the cereals, until everything was depleted. It got to a point that there was no food. That tells you that this famine had extended for a long period of time. So long to the point that 2 women decided to eat a baby. For you to know that there was nothing else to eat, and somebody decided, let us slaughter this baby and eat. Then tomorrow we will eat your baby. So after they ate the first baby, 2 women finishing a whole baby, then the next day they still want to slaughter another one. That is how intense that famine was. They were so hungry to that point. So the second one hid her baby, and then this first one thought, my baby is dead. This is unfair. We had a deal. Let me go and report to the king. When the king heard about this thing, he was so distraught that he looked for Elisha the prophet, because maybe he thought Elisha could do something about this, and he's quiet. But let me go ahead and just, take it with him. He was actually going to harm Elisha, that anger. So when he got to Elisha prophesied and said, the Lord says, by tomorrow at such a time as this. Tomorrow at such a time as this. Now, he said that the grain in the city would be so much, the food in the city would be so much that the price would be so low and affordable. You know how economics operates. When supply is more than the demand, then the prices definitely go down. So he told the king that the food would be in abundance. Now, of course, at that time, you're wondering, the siege has been there for so long. The famine has lasted for a very long time. The Arameans are still there. And here is the prophet saying, tomorrow there'll be enough food. One man even doubted and said, even if the Lord was to open the windows of heaven, this thing can never happen. Because he was reasoning with his own natural mind. Where would it come from? We have a siege going on. We have a famine. When will we plant? Where will we plant? The situation looked dire. So where will all this come from? Anyway, he didn't live to see that, because for him, he had held the Lord in contempt. And Elisha told him, you'll see it with your eyes, but you will not taste of it. Needless to say, that same day that Elisha had prophesied, in the evening, the 4 lepers seated at the gate spoke to themselves and said, gentlemen, why should we stay here and die? If we go to the city, there is famine there. There is no food. We will die. If we sit here, even here there is no food, but not just food. We are lepers. In those days, the lepers were stigmatized. They were secluded because, with leprosy, for it to transmit from one person to the other, the respiratory droplets, from your airway, when it gets to somebody else, that is how it is transmitted. So to avoid that contact, they would be placed in seclusion. There was no treatment those days as it is today. At least now, today you're given a combination, a multi-drug antibiotics, because it is caused by bacteria. So you're given, excuse me, you're given antibiotics to treat it. But those days there were no antibiotics. So if you had leprosy, it was more or less like a death sentence. The prognosis was very poor. So you are secluded, you are stigmatized. No one wants to get that disease because there's no cure. And so the men thought, if we stay here, leprosy is killing us slowly. We are also hungry, so why stay here and die? Let's go to the Aramean camp. If they spare us, we will live. But if they kill us, we'll still die. So let's go and take our chances. In Swahili, we normally say, kama mbaya mbaya. Kama mbaya mbaya. If it's bad, it's bad. If we perish, we perish. But let's take this chance. Let's go to the Aramean camp. So they decided to go. Now, I want you to understand this thing. With leprosy, the disease process, just a bit of an understanding. One, it is caused by bacteria. Bacterial infections normally bring about fever. So if you've had fever, you know how you feel weak, you feel there is weakness, there is that feeling of I don't want to do anything, I just want to lie down. Because anyway, yeah, the bacteria causes the fever and it causes weakness. Now, apart from that, leprosy also affects the nerves of the body, especially the peripheral, the hands and the legs. So when it affects the nerves, it is destroying the nerves slowly by slowly, depending on how high the infection is, but it also affects the nerves, that the nerves become numb. And with the nervous system, it cannot be regenerated. Not like the cells of the body, whereby if it is destroyed, then other cells can be reproduced and replaced. Once nerves die, there's no regeneration. They can't be created again. So if the leprosy is destroying the nerves, it causes the numbness. If you sat through a long trip and then you suddenly decide to stand, sometimes you feel like you can't feel that part of the body until now for a few seconds or a minute, you start feeling the blood flow again and all that. That kind of numbness. So here are 4 men. 1, they have leprosy. 2, they have that fever in them. 3, their nerves have somehow been affected. 4, their sight. Leprosy also affects the sight of the eyes, sometimes causing vision loss. So they're not seeing clearly, and it can even lead to blindness. 5, they are weak. They've not eaten for days. So in general, these men did not even have the strength to say, let us go to the Aramean camp. Let us go to that camp. From where they are to the camp, it took so much. It cost them so much that a normal person it would have been better for a normal person. Yes, you've not eaten. If you've been in fasting or you've been sick and not eaten for days, you already feel so weak. To even say, let me go out, These men are saying, let's go to the camp, and they have all these things against them. Weakness, fever, tiredness, numbness, So that means even as they are walking, their step is not quite stable. They are probably struggling even to move, but they've decided, let us go to the camp. If they spare us, we'll live. At least we'll eat. But if they kill us, we'll die. Anyway, we're going to die if we continue sitting here. Leprosy is killing us. Hunger is killing us. Inside the city, there's nothing in Samaria. So let's just take the chance. And they just went. They did whatever. I don't know how they made it, to be honest. And I don't know how far the city and the siege was, the camp of the Arameans was. But it took them quite a lot to be able to move. Now, as they were going, the Arameans who had besieged Samaria city started hearing footsteps, or not footsteps, a sound as though armies were coming against them. They were hearing chariots. The Lord, God Almighty, made the Arameans who had besieged the Samaria city to hear as if there were armies coming against them. There were chariots coming for them. So they got so afraid, panicked, and ran and left everything they had carried to the camp. They left everything there. Now, what surprises me is who goes to war with silver and gold? Who goes to fight in a battle carrying their precious silver and gold and all that? But they had carried it with them to the camp. So when the Lord made them hear the sound that the armies were coming, they imagined in themselves and started saying, the king of Israel has hired the Egyptian king and has hired the Hittite king, and they have band together and are coming against us to attack us. So they felt overpowered. Yet there was no Egyptian king, there was no Egyptian army, there was no Hittite army. The king of Israel was still back in Samaria, just wondering, maybe just hoping that what Elisha had said, that when he wakes up the following day, everything will be okay. But this army, the Aramean army, started imagining. But I wanted to just pause here a little bit and just make you understand. These are men who are weak. The 4 lepers, they are weak. They have fever. They've not eaten. They have this disease in them. They have numbness. So even their steps are not as strong as a normal person, a healthy person. Yet the Lord has made the Aramean king to think that these are 3 kings that have come together with their armies to come against them. Anyway, they got in there. They didn't find anyone because the Aramean king's army had fled. So they entered the tent and ate and ate and ate and drank, took the clothes, the silver, gold, and went and hid it. Came to a second tent. Then it is there that in their righteous state they decided what they're doing was not right, because there's a whole city that is dying. Maybe even people are dying at that moment in time. Yet they have found that the Aramean army has fled. Why not go back to the city and announce? To cut the long story short, they returned back, told the king that there's no one in the camp. They've been there, there's no one in the camp. Of course, they sent messengers to the king because they're lepers. They can't approach the king. They are outcasts. But when the king heard about it, sent delegates, they truly found out to be true. What Elisha had prophesied that day, that by the next day, food would be in abundance and even selling cheaply at the gate, happened, because now the food that had been left, the armies had their own grains, what was brought to the city and was being sold at the gate, exactly as Elisha had said. Myself, when I meditated, what really caught me was this part of the lepers. What I've described, their situation, how they were weak, how they were numb. And yet, when they decided to just go, the Lord used that opportunity to show up and amplify their steps. Now, these weak people were sounding, their footsteps were being magnified to sound like the armies of 3 nations, 3 kings coming with their armies. Meaning the Lord showed up. When they showed up, the Lord took over. All they needed to do was just go. All they needed to do was just make steps towards the Aramean king. And the Lord now took over the entire battle. Now, this scripture helped me, like I've said, at some point in time, together with other scriptures. But let me just bring out this one today to say that you may have listened to the videos and heard about high quality CPR. It needs to be, 5 centimeters for the adult, 4 centimeters for the infant. And I try to explain that when you're compressing, it has to be 100 to 120 times in a minute, or when you're doing it, this and that, or make sure, you use the 6 chain links of survival, and you're thinking all this, you can't do it. All I'll tell you, just show up. Just show up. When you see a situation wherever you are, even if everything else flies out of your mind, just don't leave the situation. Don't ignore. Don't say there's nothing you can do. Don't panic. At least whatever little you have in mind, do it. Let the Lord take over. You will be surprised that you may end up doing the whole CPR, doing exactly how it should be done, being that strong link, and saving a life. Because I know that when these things happen, it is one thing learning about it, and it is another thing truly facing the situation head front. Especially if it's a close member, you may be confused, you don't know what to do, you're thinking many things, you're not remembering anything. But I'd say do not panic and leave, just show up. And let the Lord now do the rest. He will bring to remembrance, compress. How many times? Don't go too deep or don't go too shallow. Do this and do that. You show up and let the Lord magnify your effort. Let him magnify your effort. Let him now take over from you showing up. If you do not show up, then definitely that person will die. And we do not want that. So stay, even if it's just being present. Let the Lord now take over. Just the way the lepers showed up. The Lord takes the glory in such situations because he could have used normal people. He could have used the healthy people. There are people there who the Lord could have used to reason and say, let's go. But he used the weakest. They'd not eaten. He used those whose nerves were as good as, dead. The disease is destroying their nervous system. He used people with fever. Who wants to walk around in fever? All these things the Lord just made sure that these people could not even do anything for themselves. He used the stigmatized. He used the outcast. Because even with the leprosy approaching the Arameans, they could have even been killed. You're bringing the disease to us. But all these odds was what now even made the glory seem to be so profound. It was more or less one of those things that you just ponder and say, truly, this is the finger of God. This is the Lord's doing. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is my encouragement. As we journey along, just take what you're hearing. When the situation gets you, whether it is in this CPR that we are doing, the resuscitation attempts, and I decided to bring this story to you, this biblical story to you, because the next component that you're going to discuss is about advanced resuscitation intervention. Meaning the component that you're discussing there is even more intense than this high quality CPR. At least here we are doing the basic things. When the next component now is being discussed, you hear of IV lines, you hear of intubating, putting a tube inside the throat. So it may look complicated. Of course, you're not the one, you who is a lay person doing it, but you may be the nursing student, you may be the one interested in doing nursing, and you're thinking, this is more of the doctors. I said nursing, I did not say medicine. But do not lose out. Just show up, and you'll be surprised at what you can do to save a life. I think that is a good recap. That is a good place to start. I'm hoping that I've encouraged you to keep going. And then let's see how the next episodes will flow. Now, allow me for the next 10 minutes or so to just finish the second part of the high quality CPR. Now, I had left off discussing about what high quality CPR entails before I demonstrated now how to do it. Please watch our previous video of the things that we said should be employed to make the CPR high quality. We said it is one thing to do something, and it is another thing to do something well. There's no point doing and having a good heart, being well-intentioned, and the person still dies, or you become the weakest link, that you have reduced this victim's chance of survival. So it is important that you get to understand what really the high quality means, so that when you get the chance to do it, you will do it well, and you've given this person a high chance of survival. Now, having watched and understood what high quality means, let's give a good scenario of the victim. Let's perform the CPR now for you to understand, in case you meet the situation, what are you going to do? So the first thing, when you see a victim, you may not know whether it is a cardiac arrest, right? So let's give a scenario that you've entered a bank. Let's say you are in a bank. Then robbers have showed up. Of course, they have their weapons, guns, machetes, and all. And they say, everyone lie down. Now, in your midst, there's somebody who was maybe having an underlying condition. So they went into cardiac arrest, but you still do not know whether this is cardiac arrest. So everyone goes down, but you do not know whether this person has gone unconscious because all of you are face down. So the robbers do their thing, they take what they are taking, and they leave. Now, before they leave, when they come in, the situation is not safe. And anyway, you do not know that this person has passed out. So for instance, they have left, but they're still in the vicinity because you can hear their voices, they're shouting, they're commanding. So you still know that you cannot get up and start moving around and what have you. If they're still around, that scene is still not safe. You know how robbers, they do not want anyone to be touching the phone or moving around. Everyone down, face down, do not look up, do not look at them to identify. So you have to be still. Okay, you can still hear their voices. The scene is still not safe for you to save anyone, for you to even figure out if everyone is okay. So let's say, for instance, they are moving away and then everyone is standing up, but you realize that one person is not standing. They are still down. Or even the posture they're taking is not normal. Something is not right. So you go ahead, because you're in the scene and we have decided you must just show up. Do not leave the scene. Do not take your bag and run off. Just show up for that person. So when you are there, the first thing you will do is figure out, is it that they just fainted? Is it that they have low blood sugar? You don't know. So what you do, look for their shoulders. Don't tap their legs, don't tap their waist, don't aim for the shoulders. Tap them and ask them, are you okay? Are you okay? Why? You've already now verified the scene is safe because the robbers, the voices have gone, they're out of the picture. Scene safety is number one. We said you have to be alive to help another. Love your neighbors, you love yourself. So how much you love yourself is the kind of love you will exude to someone else. If you're not well enough, then you cannot help somebody else. You have to be well enough to help somebody else to be well. Otherwise, we're going to end up with two victims. The one who is already down and you yourself who is not well. If you go now, we have two victims instead of one. So now, number one, scene safety. Number two, tap on their shoulders. Ask them, are you okay? Are you okay? And when you're asking, try getting close to the ears because maybe they're hard of hearing, on one side. So to ask. If you're seeing there's no response, then you can decide, you can come to a conclusion, this person is unresponsive. This is not a matter of just, they are still afraid or, they are unresponsive because you have tried to arouse them. Now, when you decide that when you have checked and figured out that they are unresponsive, the next thing to do, number two, turn them on their back, let them lie flat, and then check for their pulse and their breathing. We had already discussed these are the parameters that will determine, we want to figure out, is their heart beating? Is their breathing there? So for the heart beating, you can't see the heart from outside, right? And we had mentioned that there were many pulse points where you can feel the heart beating. Either the temporal pulse you feel on the side of the head. There's that temporal pulse. We talked of the carotid pulse. We talked of the brachial pulse. We talked of the radial pulse. We talked of the femoral pulse on the groin. Behind the knee, the popliteal pulse. On top of the foot, we had the dorsalis pedis. And then on the chest, on the left side of the chest, when you place your ears, we say that was the apical pulse. So you won't go removing the clothes of the person to feel the femoral pulse. It's indecent. It's unnecessary when you have all these other parts. But you also won't go for the temporal because if the heart has arrested, you won't feel this one. So the best that we said for adults is the carotid pulse. Feel them with 2 or 3 fingers. Watch our previous videos to remember, right? We want to see, is the heart beating? So we are feeling this. And if peradventure, although I don't want to discuss so much about pediatrics here, the children, I'd want to discuss them in a separate episode. For the children, we said the brachial. Below 8 years, or the young infants, the infants brachial, because their head is big. So you don't want to be trying to figure out where the pulse is. So check the carotid. Is the heart beating? That is one. As you're doing this, check the breathing. Is their chest rising and falling? This will tell you whether the two parameters are either there or not. And it will determine now what you're going to do for this person. So the situation could be that when you check the pulse, there is a pulse. When you check the chest, it is rising. So what do? The best thing, just turn the person on their left side and monitor them. Turn them on the left. Let them lie on the left. You normally, when you are sleeping, some people sleep on their chest with their hand on the head. Some sleep on their backs facing upward. Others lie, there are different positions. So imagine turning them on the left side. The reason you're doing this, when they are on their back, the tongue has fallen back on the throat. So there is a way it is obstructing the airway. So their breathing, it can be impaired or minimized. So you want them on the left side, one, to at least allow the airway to be open. Number two, saliva is collecting on the back of the throat. If you leave them in that position, they could aspirate. Aspirate means that saliva could now go into the airway and cause choking. So you want them on the left side to allow the drooling, for it to at least collect on the side instead of on the back of their throat. Those are two major reasons why you'd want them on the left side. Okay, so you're monitoring them because they have a heartbeat and they are breathing. However, we talked about the breathing. That breathing has to be the normal breathing. I said in and out, in and out, in and out. So when you start seeing an abnormal breathing, it could be a sign of a cardiac arrest. We call it agonal breathing. So when you see something like all this abnormal breathing, that is not breathing. They are not, their airway, their lungs are not working well. It is even giving you a hint there is a cardiac arrest. So unless it is normal breathing, then you cannot conclude that this person is breathing. Any other thing, whether it is abnormal or it is absent, that is considered an emergency. We are going to talk about what to do with it. But there are two things you're checking. The pulse, is the heart beating? So we're checking, yes, I can feel a pulse. Whether it is normal or it is slow, but there is a pulse. So there is a heartbeat. And number two, is the breathing normal? If it is there, turn the patient on the left side and monitor. Now, monitor does not mean just sit there and wait and call and what have you. Let me pause a little bit. Pardon me. When you have verified that the scene is safe, call for help. So if it was a bank, of course, there are other people. Tell them to call 911. Tell them to call the ambulance. Tell them to call the hospital and bring the AED. You may say, where we are, we don't even know about this AED. Call 911 and tell them to come with a defibrillator. If the AED is available, let them come with the AED. By this time, you have not determined whether they have a cardiac arrest or not. But let the AED be coming. So that in case it is not, then fine. But should it be, you don't want again for them to go and start looking for the AED. So number one, verify scene safety. Number two, check for their response. If they are not responding, shout for help. Tell them to come with the AED and call for an ambulance or the hospital. Now, the reason you are doing this is because if the person is unresponsive, one way or the other, you will need help. Whether help turning them, help moving them, help putting them to sit up, whatever the situation, you want to get help. If you jump in and do everything by yourself, like what I had already started doing, checking pulses and all, you may get tired along the way. And if you get tired, it is very risky, because now you will definitely lose the patient, or even if they survive, they will be debilitated. You do not want that. So call for help and ask for the AED to come before you start even figuring out whether they have a pulse or not. So that even if they now have a pulse, like we've determined, and they are breathing and they are on the left side, at least help will come, and then we'll figure out how come they have a pulse and they are breathing, but they're not waking up. It could be low blood sugar. And this one is treated so easily. If you take even the sugar you put in tea and you put it inside the cheeks and you put enough, you start seeing the person coming back to life. It could be as simple as that. So you'll just be managing low blood sugar because they have a pulse and they are breathing, but they are not waking up. So there is something wrong. But the help that has come will now help determine what exactly is going on. As we will see, there are various things that can cause this kind of situation to happen. But peradventure now, second scenario, this person, when you're checking the breathing, it is not there. When you check the heartbeat, the heartbeat is there. But there is no breathing. They are not breathing, or they have this agonal gas, which we have said is an indicator that there is a problem. So if they have a they have a heartbeat, but they don't have any breathing, what will you do? You cannot start pumping on the chest because they have a heartbeat. So what you're going to do is actually give them rescue breaths. But before that, ensure they are lying flat, like we had said. They are lying flat. They are not tilted. They are not, I don't know, there's something on the back. Their handbag maybe is on the back. So they have to be flat. And what they are laying upon should be firm. I'm saying this for those maybe at home or even in hospital. We said cardiac arrest can happen in hospital. It should not be on something that is bulging, that when you'll be compressing, even the body goes down. Because now you'll not be compressing on the heart. You'll just be pressing on the person, and the person is pressing on the mattress. So you're not doing anything effective. So the surface they're laying upon should be flat, and it should be firm. Then, since now they have a heartbeat, we're not compressing on their chest, but they don't have a breathing. They're not breathing. When you check their chest rising, there's nothing. When you're feeling for the breath, there's nothing. What you will do at this point in time is give them rescue breaths. So you will put air in their mouth. You don't have to then blow into them. It is not necessary. The normal breathing, when you breathe in and out, you're not just breathing out carbon dioxide. Science shows that what you're breathing out contains oxygen. Remember the biblical story where God created man out of clay and then breathed into his nostrils. Are we not created in the image and likeness of God? So what God was breathing out was the breath of life. Even us, when we breathe out, what you're breathing out is not purely carbon dioxide. There is a percentage, a good percentage of oxygen in what you're breathing out. And that is what now you are going to breathe into the mouth of this person if you deem it safe. If you deem it safe. You may not know this person, so you may feel, I don't know, it could be, it is okay. We are all human. Decide for yourself. If you feel it is safe, go ahead and do it. Mouth to mouth. That is being sacrificial. But if you feel it is not safe, then as long as the heart is breathing, put the person on the left side and wait for help. The heart is beating. However, now you've decided it is safe. Either you probably even know the person, you went to them to the bank, you feel it is safe, or you feel sacrificial, I'm going to do this. Like we said, come and buyer. If it's bad, it's bad. If I perish, I perish. I am going to do this. So you are taking your chances. Lift the chin of the person. There is a bone here. Don't press here because you'll be closing the airway. You lift them like this. When you do this, you are making the tongue at least to come forward and allow some air, some passage. Then blow into their mouth. When you blow into their mouth, look at the chest. Is it rising? So if it is rising, you know that what you're blowing into them is actually going into their lungs and not their stomach. And you want it in the lungs. So a good chest rise tells you you have given a good blow. Then count 6 seconds and give another breath. So you give one breath, wait for 6 seconds, give another breath, wait for 6 seconds, give another breath, wait for 6 seconds. How are we counting the seconds? 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, 1006. Blow again. So when you're blowing, you've lifted their chin, you are standing, you are kneeling on the side of their head. So you just blow in 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, 1006. Again with the chin lifted, blow again, 1001, 1002, 1000. Do that over and over until you get to 2 minutes. Then check again whether the heartbeat is still there. Yes, it was there at the beginning. That is why all you're doing is rescue breaths. But just check again after 2 minutes, check. Is the heartbeat that I felt was there still there? Yes, it is still there. But the breathing, is it back now that you've been giving rescue breaths? No. Go back again, give a breath, then count 6 seconds. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, 1006. Then another breath. 1001, 1002, 6 seconds, give a breath. 6 seconds, give a breath. After 2 minutes or so, check the pulse. Is it still there? You are doing this because the condition could change. So you may still be giving breaths and saying, well, at least I figure they have a heartbeat. All I'm going to do is give breaths till help comes. But what if the condition has changed after 4 minutes, 3 minutes? That means now you don't have a heartbeat yet, you are busy giving breaths. You are losing the patient, but you are giving breaths. The patient is dead, now you're giving breaths to a dead person because you did not check whether the heartbeat is still there. So it is important to always ensure the heart is the core. The heart, without a heart, there's no life. Even if you have a brain, you'll be a vegetable. So you do not want that. Continue giving the breaths, but after 2 minutes, confirm, yes, the heartbeat is still there. Now, should you be doing this and the breath is not coming back, and maybe after 4 times of doing breaths, checking pulse, you've been doing breaths, you check pulse, the 3rd time you're going to check the pulse, there is no pulse. This person's heart has now shut off. It was there, we've been giving rescue breaths, but now there is no pulse. What do? Jump on that chest. Jump on the chest. Watch my previous video of how we said you're going to lock your elbows. Don't do this. You are not doing it effectively. You want to lock so that you are doing this. You're moving on the patient. This one should be locked so that the pressure on the chest goes on the heart to compress the heart and allow the chest to recoil fully. Again, high quality CPR allows the chest to come back. Before you compress the chest again, allow it to come back. Don't lean on the patient, high quality CPR, because then you're doing this, you're not allowing that heart to compress and expand, compress and expand. And we are doing this to send blood to the brain, mainly to send to the brain, but also this blood is going to the other organs. They are vital organs. You have the kidney, you have the liver and all, but we want to ensure that the brain is getting its supply. The body is getting its supply as we wait for the AED to come, okay? Now, you are compressing on their chest because now you figured out the heart has stopped beating. How many times we had discussed again, watch the previous episode, we had discussed these parameters that today we're just doing the scenario. We're trying to simulate in case it happens, yeah? You are going to be compressing on that chest. We said 100 to 120 times a minute. However, you won't go continuously 100 times or 115 times for a minute. You're going to do it 30 times and then give 2 breaths. You will compress on their chest 30 times and you have to count loudly. So you'll be counting 1, 1,002, 3, 4. You can say 1,000 once because we want to do it in seconds. But if it's too much, simply count aloud. 1, 2, 3, 4, 28, 29, 30. Then come to the mouth, lift the chin and give them 2 breaths. Go back on the chest. 1, 2, 3, 15, 22, 27, 28, 29, 30. Come and lift their chin and give them. Go back. Now you will do these 5 rounds. 5 rounds meaning 30 compressions, 2 breaths, that is 1 round. 30 compressions, 2 breaths, 2 rounds. You will do this 5 times. After 5 times, go back and check, is the heartbeat back? And are they breathing? And we said you do it at the same time because you don't want to be there 15 seconds trying to figure out, okay, now let me check the breathing 20 seconds. Statistics shows and research shows if you go past 10 seconds checking all these things, the outcome will not be good. Much as you've tried all this, those delays means by the time you're starting again, it's like starting afresh. You want to keep the momentum. So take 10 seconds, and that is why I taught you how to do it at the same time. While you are checking, you're feeling it with your fingers, you will feel the pulse, boom, 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 boom. But at the same time, your eyes should be on the chest. Is it now rising? Okay? So you want the 2 of them to be there. So should you do it, you've done 30 times and 2 breaths, 30 times and 2 breaths, then after about 6 minutes, the person reacts. The person maybe gives a cough, the person just moves, then you know you have your patient back, you have your victim back. At this point, turn them on the left side. That is the recovery position. Move them on the left side, turn them on the left side, but keep monitoring. We said monitoring is don't just sit there and wait because you had shouted for help, right? So go ahead and check. After 2 minutes, just tap them again. Mr. So-and-so, are you with us? Are you? So let him react. He may open his eyes. You know you have a patient. You have your victim is still awake. So after another 2 minutes, don't get tired. Don't feel embarrassed. Mr. So-and-so, are you with us? If he's maybe tired or sleepy because after coming from this, you're weak, you're tired, he may just, move his eyebrows. Mr. So-and-so, if you're with us, open your eyes, let me see. Or blink once, let me know that you're with us. He may just open his eyes, even if he's weak. Mr. So-and-so is with you. He's alive. So you don't have to be checking the pulse and yet he's opening his eyes. It doesn't make sense. So every 2 minutes, check responsiveness. If you're calling Mr. So-and-so, whom you had resuscitated was okay, you have turned him on the left side. But now when you call Mr. So-and-so after 4 minutes, the second time you're checking, he's not responding. You check again, Mr. So-and-so, he's not responding. Go ahead and check that pulse. Check the breathing. If again you've returned to that state, put him on the back where he was, go back to 30 compressions and 2 breaths. Should you be doing this? And after 7 minutes or so, help comes. Not the help that you had sent for the AED, but at least somebody has shown up. I can guarantee you, chest compression is not easy. You get tired even within the first 3 minutes. There is a tiredness. No matter how built you are, how you will feel tired. And when you're tired now, you're not compressing on the heart. You're losing your victim. You're losing that person. So you want to be able to switch. That means 2 rescuers now. This person who has come has never done CPR. They don't know what's going on. Maybe they're even panicking. They're afraid. It is okay. You can coach them. Tell them to come on the head, on the head, and then you remain compressing. Then as they're giving the rescue breaths, do the compression. Now you don't have to go to back and forth, back and forth. As you're compressing and counting, you tell them when I get to 30, you give them 2 breaths. So they can do that. And once 2 minutes or even before when you're getting tired, tell them to come and compress. Show them how to do it. Don't waste time. Don't take time demonstrating. Do not do this more than 5 seconds. You just need 5 seconds. Let them jump on that chest. Even if they're not doing it right the first time, you instruct them. Lock your elbows. Don't bend it. Don't lean on them. Instruct them until they get it and they just keep going, keep going. Then give the breaths. By the time you're doing the breaths, you are resting. They will also get tired, so you should announce and tell them, I'm getting tired. During this CPR, you have to be vocal. Say, speak, count aloud. So you tell them, I'm getting tired, but don't stop and say, oh, I am tired. That time you're stopping, then you are losing the patient. So you want to tell them while you are compressing, I'm getting tired, I need help. Then take 5 seconds to switch positions. Do that until the AED arrives. Now, the AED is so important that if it was there at the very start, you don't have to go through all these compressions and all and spend 2 minutes, and yet you have the AED. Yes, the AED has come. If you are by yourself and you know where the AED is in the bank, once they bring the AED, don't delay. You can start compressing as they are turning on the AED. Do not stop until the pads have been placed. I see time is going. I don't want to take too long. I think in our next episode, we'll just finalize this high quality CPR as I now talk about this AED, because it is so important. This is the electricity that connects to the electricity in your heart to jumpstart it. It is much better than even the compressions that you are doing. That is why they say early defibrillation. Remember, this component was high quality CPR with early defibrillation. So as soon as the AED is available, don't see the AED and stop and start attaching the pads. No, no, no. These compressions and breaths should go on even as they open the AED, as they attach the pads, as they connect it, as they power it on. The only time you will stop is when the AED prompts, because it has a voiceover. It will speak up and say, analyzing shock. At that point in time, you have to clear. Ensure that I will discuss in my next episode how it is done. You have to clear everyone, and then that is the only time you now leave the patient, because you do not want the AED to get your heart rhythm. It is the victim's rhythm that it is supposed to analyze. So this compression should go on. There should be minimal interruption. The only time that you stop when the AED gets there is when it is analyzing the rhythm. So when it is analyzing, you all clear and allow it to analyze. Then if it is shockable or non-shockable, then you determine. That is the only time your hands should be free. And should the patient not be back, even after shocking the patient, and they are not awake, they are not moving, they are not responding, immediately after the shock, jump back on that chest, compress 30 times, give 2 breaths. 30 times, 2 breaths. If you're getting tired and you are alone, simply compress that heart. Leave alone the breaths. Leave the breaths. Compress the heart. Compress, compress, compress until that AED comes, connect and shock the patient. Now somebody would have come with the AED. There's 2 of you. You can now do compression and breaths, compression and breaths, compression and breaths. Now let's just pray that this patient did not take too long to return. They moved, you've turned them on the left side, they're recovering. What next? You can confirm the ambulance that you called. How far are they? Are they coming? If not, because some places you may be calling, they'll say they are coming, they're not coming. They'll tell you send money for fuel and other funny things. So if they are not coming, do not assume they're on the way. Please call for another help. Don't say the patient is back. Praise God. Now they are back. Let's return. Ask them how they are feeling. Prepare porridge. I don't know, do what. Give them hot soup. Please. This person needs to go to the hospital. Even if they are back, they are well, they are talking, asking you what happened. I'm feeling tired, I'm feeling pain. Don't give them Panadol and start making calls and say, oh, they had a cardiac arrest, we've revived them, but now they're okay. Ensure that every person who comes out of that situation goes to the hospital. It is part of this chain that we were discussing. Remember, there were 6 components. After this, there's still the post-cardiac arrest care, the care that they get after an arrest. Because the very thing that caused this first arrest could happen again if it is not resolved. So they need to go to the hospital. They need to go and they need to be checked. We will discuss in our episode to find out what caused it, so that it is corrected and it doesn't happen again. But if you stay home, believe it or not, even after 5 minutes, another attack could happen, maybe even a stronger one. or after hours, or after days, or after weeks, or even months, because you did not solve the cause of this arrest. It may come again, and now you may end up losing the patient, or if you end up bringing the patient back to life again with the CPR and the AEDs and all that. Remember, this heart is being injured. Every time there's an arrest, there is some kind of injury. So it is not fully okay. There is a problem. There is a compromise. So they're not having that full heart. They've not gone through recovery, taught on what to do, what not to do, what medications to be on. So it is very important now that we have our patient back. Ensure the person goes to the hospital, report everything, what happened, what time it started, what you've been doing, how long it has been, give the details, then let them check the person and correct whatever needs to be corrected. For all you know, they could end up having now an implantable, remember the implantable cardioverter? It could go to that extent. They could be on medications just to ensure that, it doesn't happen again and all that. So our patient who is now recovering, praise God, you've done well, you've taken the steps, you've just shown up, and the Lord has used you and amplified your efforts, and you found that as you're pumping on the chest and giving 2 breaths, the AED comes. You who thought you could not do anything, like the 4 lepers, you are able to turn on that AED, you attached the pads, you even gave the command, you were the coach and told them all clear, you pressed the shock, you shocked the patient, they did not come back, you jumped, you were the one giving instructions, yet you thought you could not do it. But because you showed up, because you went in and did something, the Lord used you. He took over. At the end of that resuscitation, you'll be sitting back, even if people will be telling you, thank you, you saved a life, you're the hero. You'll be just thinking and saying, this is not me. The me that I know, I'm not the one who did this thing. This one, there was another hand. There was another hand in this. I just showed up. I was present. I did not leave the victim. But to be honest, I am not the one. You'll even be afraid of taking that praise. Yes, you'll be happy you've done something, to be honest. But over and over again, you will know I'm not the one that did this resuscitation. That I was even able to give the information to the hospital and tell them everything. This is not me. God showed up. He amplified your steps like he amplified the steps of those lepers. All you did was not run away. You did not sit and say, we will die here. You did not say, we'll go into the city. There's famine there, we will die. You just showed up, and the Lord now did everything. He used your hands. He used your voice. He gave you courage. He gave you strength. He gave you the strength to even compress. Chest compression is, you get tired. You will get tired. By the 3rd, 4th round, you get tired. So everything that happened, truly, you'll give the glory to God and testify. Ladies and gentlemen, let me stop here. But in our next episode, I will take it up because I want us to understand that AED, at least how it works, when to use it, how to use it, because it is so important that if you have it, it is even more important than the compressions, because the electricity is connecting with the heart electrical system to now power it on. So it will save you 10 minutes of compressing, getting tired, even compromising the patient's state. It will even give a better chance for the person to recover, to survive, and even to be whole and hearty. At the end, it is the best. Once you have it, use it. Use it as soon as it is available. So it is important that much as I don't have a physical AED, but it is important to at least have an idea, because it is not complicated. Should you get it, you will have an idea on how to use it. Well, this is me back to school, high school, after a whole month holiday. I've not been studying, despite carrying all the books and going home and saying I'm going to be studying. I found other things to do. People are playing, people are working, I'm doing other things. There's just so much enjoyment that I've missed for 3 months. I carry my books again back to school and now trying to reset this first week. So I hope we've done well with our first episode resetting. Bear with me. Let's catch up in our next episode and now talk about the AED and finish this high quality CPR. Then as we go on, we'll finish matters After the cardiac arrest, they are in hospital. There's only two or three steps, and then we are done in 2 episodes or so. Then we'll move to something else as the Lord leads. Once again, my name is Ludia Osita. All I can say goodbye. Remember, come and buy. If it's bad, it's bad. If I perish, I perish. But I'm doing this thing and letting the Lord take over. Have a good evening or morning or afternoon. Goodbye.